In this example, we are asked to write the equation of the hyperbola in standard form, but we're only given a couple clues, so we're going to have to be like a little bit of a detective. We're told that the vertices are at 8, 14 and 8, -10, and that the conjugate axis is 6 units long. Okay, so what I would recommend in any type of problem like this, we are basically trying to be a detective and solve a puzzle, is I would draw a picture of what you're given and then kind of work from there. So let's just, make a rough sketch of what this could look like, okay? All right, so one of the vertices is at 8, 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so one of them is here. Now, the other one is at 8, -10. So I go over 8 and I go down 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, this tells me immediately that this must be a vertical hyperbola because if these are the vertices, right, they're the lowest points on the parabolas that make up the hyperbola. So that's actually super, super helpful. So I'm just gonna label this as my 8, 14, and this point is my 8, -10. And the reason that's helpful is because if I wanna put this in standard form, I now know because it's a vertical hyperbola, this is generally gonna be y minus k quantity squared over a squared, okay, minus, because it's a hyperbola, x minus h quantity squared over b squared equals 1. So that's important, and then we can start filling things in. Okay, the next thing I think we can figure out is our center. Now remember, our center is always going to be at hk. And one of the things we learned in a previous video, or maybe you can just think about this kind of using common sense, is the center must be right in the middle of the two vertices. Okay, so I didn't draw this like perfectly lined up here, but the center has to be right in the middle. So essentially what I'm doing is finding the midpoint between 8, 14 and 8, -10. So let's think, what point is exactly in the middle? Well, it's going to be 8, right? Because 8 is in the middle of 8 and 8. And what's in the middle of 14 and -10? That would be a +2. All right, so let's just make sure we agree with that, right? 14 and 2 are 12 units apart. 2 and -10 are 12 units apart. So my center must be at 8, 2, and I know my center is hk. So that means I can fill in my h to be 8 and my k to be 2. All right, so I think I'll just actually, I'll wait a second to fill that in, and then we'll sort of do it all at once. So this is going to be 8, 2. Now, basically all that remains is I need my a squared and my b squared. Remember that a is the distance between the center, right, and a vertex. So I can physically see the distance here is 12, right? So if a is 12, I know that a squared is going to be 144. What about b? B refers to the co-vertices which lie on the conjugate axis. And this is my clue about B. If the conjugate axis is 6 units long, that means B itself must be 3 units long. Okay, so the conjugate axis is going to go this way, right? Remember, the transverse axis would go through the parabolas. So 6 units means I would have 1, 2, 3 on that side, 1, 2, 3 on this side. So that's my clue for the conjugate axis. If b is equal to 3, then I know that b squared is equal to 9. So putting this all together, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. I'm going to write out the final answer. It's going to be y minus 2 quantity squared, right, over 144 minus the quantity x minus 8 squared over 9 equals 1. And we just did some pretty good detective work to figure out the equation in standard form.